Haideți să-l cunoaștem, doamnelor și domnilor, pe congresmanul Mike Turner, cel care conduce Comisia din Congresul American de control a serviciilor secrete americane, cel care a dezvăluit și a cerut președintelui Statelor Unite să desecretizeze aceste documente, aceste informații mai exact, cu privire la o armă pe care Rusia o pregătește la nivel de spațiu și care ar putea să fie în momentul de față un act de război, așa cum spunea puțin mai devreme fostul director al CIA. Iată-l pe președintele Comisiei de Intelligence, al serviciilor secrete din Congres și care vorbește despre amenințarea rusească pentru România, pentru Moldova, pentru Europa și pentru întreaga lume în înțelegerea domniei sale. Iată interviul. Congressman, during the years, Romania was for the states an interesting country, even in communism. We remember when President Nixon was visiting Romania, even that Romania was in a communist bloc. And after that, Romania was interesting for United States for many reasons. Right now, we are in this situation with the war, with everything that we know about the region. What is Romania for the states, from your perspective?
Well, first of all, it's an important economic partner, but also it's a great military partner. And there's also such an incredible bond between our people. There's an understanding that the United States supports Romania, and there's a great sense of a love between the two countries. Now, on the military side, I mean, it's not just that we have NATO. The bilateral relationship is incredibly strong. And we have our Aegis ashore, our missile defense site there. Of course, there are U.S. troops there. But then I think the greatest expression of this is in the Ukrainian conflict. The United States gave aid to Romania as they hosted almost 5 million refugees. And of course, Romania has been a strong supporter of the military aid that Ukraine has needed. In that conflict, I think we've seen the desperation and the aggression of Russia, and have been incredibly unified on how important this is.
Well, we are looking to the states with a lot of confidence. Tonight we've been celebrating freedom, and I remember when in Romania was not freedom. I was born in communism, and I remember very well that my father was in jail for his beliefs. So tonight was a big celebration, and freedom, it is an important value for everybody, but especially for this kind of countries that we didn't have it in that period of time. Well, let's talk a little bit about what is going to happen in our region. United States is very powerful in Romania, Poland, and some Baltic states. But everybody are looking with a lot of, some of them with concern. Because we are feeling that because of the presidential election in the States, we can have a different situation after the election. Some candidates are talking that they are not supporting, they don't want to support Ukraine anymore. And some others, they are talking about they will make a deal in 24 hours, which will be great, but being there, we are a little bit confused. What can you tell us about what the states will do no matter what about the presidential election?
Well, as you know, in democracy and electoral process, it's a process of debate, and so all ideas get expressed. But overwhelmingly, the ideas and the beliefs are in supporting Ukraine, that this is the front lines of the fight of democracy, and we're going to support Ukraine. And of course, throughout all of this, there's been strong support for Romania, both of the current administration and the past administration, strong supporters of Romania, strong support for giving Ukraine the lethal aid that it needs in order to be able to defend itself. I think these are minor voices. We just recently had a vote on the House floor on continuing aid through the Department of Defense for Ukraine. And that vote, out of the 435 members of Congress, had overwhelmingly over 300 members vote to continue it. So I think these, as any democracy, these voices are important because they represent the diversity of opinion. But in the end, overwhelmingly, both Romania and Ukraine have strong support.
You have an important position in the Congress, and we know that you have access to a lot of information, and everybody
is trying to find the answer to one very important question. When this war is going to an end? Do you have any idea how long will be this war?
Well, unfortunately, there's only one person who gets to decide that, and that's the person who started this war, and that's Vladimir Putin. The one thing that we've got to make certain that we do is have the resolve to stay in it as long as he is going to make this continue. You know, when he first had his troops roll in to Ukraine, he really believed in a weekend he was going to have this over with. But the spirit of the Ukrainians, that their will to fight, and their willingness to use every resources, and then the West coming together with such resolve. Around the world, you heard all non-authoritarian regimes voicing that this had to be stopped and that this was not what we expect in this century from responsible powers. I think he's been incredibly disappointed. His efforts have been so minimized that you know, certainly there's a demoralization that's occurring. Now we just have to get him to the point where he has the will to accept that he's not going to get Ukraine.
How do you see the role of Romania in the future? We know what Romania did since the war started with the refugees and some other aid. What about the future? What do you think about the Romanian role should play in the region?
I think one thing is very important, which is what you started with in the description of freedom, and that a country that didn't have it, then now has it and expresses it freely. That reminds us all about how we need to work together and support each other, but at the same time to hold these principles so dear that freedom of expression and freedom and democracy is important. That's, I think, the battle that we see in Ukraine. It's the battle of authoritarian regimes trying to quash democracy, and together we're not going to let that happen. You're a strong voice in NATO, you're a strong voice in the EU, you're a strong bilateral relationship with the United States. You're incredibly important on the Black Sea. The work that Romania has been doing to provide alternative sources for Ukraine grain to get out, which of course makes a huge impact for hunger outside of Europe. All of these things are where Romania has stepped up and played a great role and is as a great partner of the United States.
Talking about that you have access to important information, do you think that it's an important danger, a real danger actually, to have the war to be spread in the eastern part of Europe? I mean, countries like Moldova, countries like Romania, Poland, or some other countries. Do you think that this risk is real?
Well, I always believe that, when our adversaries, and they're self-declared, Vladimir Putin has self-declared himself, his country, an adversary to the West and to the United States and to NATO. When they make statements, I think we should believe them. And that's what he has said. He has said that he wants to, go back to the lines of the Soviet Union, that he believes that something had been taken from Russia, and it has not been taken from Russia. It's just been given to the people who were there. And I think that march of democracy is a threat to authoritarian regimes like Putin.
Sir, we are trying to understand what the future holds. I mean, we are trying to see what is the worst-case scenario, and of course we are afraid that Moldova can be next, another country can be attacked. We remember that last week we had in Romania some pieces from a drone, Russian drone, on our soil. An accident can happen, an accident to a nuclear plant. A lot of bad things can happen. But also we are thinking to the good scenarios. What can be the best scenario for this war? I mean, trying to reach peace, to find a way to solve the conflict. Do you think that it is possible to see the end of the war and Russia to have another type of dealing with the countries like Ukraine and the others?
Well, I think probably one of the best outcomes is the one that we're seeing now, and that is the unification of NATO, and the fact that the West and democracies around the world see that authoritarian nations still are a threat. There was a time where we said, NATO had no enemies, no adversaries. Well, clearly that's not the case. We're always going to have adversaries in that context of the authoritarian regimes seeing democracies as a threat. If we can come out of this with a clear resolve that authoritarian regimes are going to view us as a threat, and they will remain a threat to us, and we should remain strong and vigilant and together. And by doing that, we can lessen the threat of future conflict.
You've been in Romania many times. How many times?
More than 5, less than 10. I'm not quite sure.
All right. So you know Romania very well. You know the Romanian leaders. But now we are talking with the Romanian public. In the end of this interview, what message do you have for the Romanian citizens?
Well, the relationship between the United States and Romania is strong because it's strong between the peoples. There is a great understanding in the United States of the importance of Romania and the transition that they've made. The fact that they are firmly in the EU, firmly in NATO, have very strong democratic institutions, and that there are American soldiers, some of our family members are on Romania's soil today because of the importance of the region, the fact that you're standing up and yet you're in a conflict area that really poses a threat to all of us.
Thank you.